Before the Chinook lifted tanks, artillery, and entire buildings, before tandem-rotor helicopters became icons of modern warfare, there was a fabric-covered banana held together with mild steel, wooden ribs, and an alarming amount of optimism. And somehow, it worked. I'm Bill, and this is Buffalo Air Park. Let's dive in. Alright, let's talk about one of the strangest, most important helicopters ever built, Piasecki HRP-1, better known by its completely earned nickname, the Flying Banana. Because if you squint even a little, that's exactly what it looked like, a giant, bent, fabric-covered fruit that somehow figured out how to fly. The man behind it was Frank Piasecki, a driven, stubborn engineer who founded his company while he was still a college student, and then immediately started terrifying the US Navy. And yes, that's literal. Piasecki became a helicopter pilot by accident. While testing his single-seat design, the PV-2, it was tethered to the ground with what was essentially a clothesline. That line snapped. Suddenly, Piasecki was airborne in a machine he had never flown before. His qualifications at the moment? 14 hours in a Piper Cub. 0 helicopter experience. And yet, somehow, he landed it. Not only that, he convinced the Navy he knew what he was doing. Which, in hindsight, feels wildly optimistic on everyone's part. When the Navy finally issued a contract, Piasecki scaled everything up into the PV-3, affectionately nicknamed the Dogship, because it was essentially a flying test article. It was 3 times larger than any helicopter flying at the time, and here's where the banana shape comes in. Piasecki wanted tandem rotors, 2 large rotors, one front, one rear, overlapping but never colliding. His solution? He literally bent the fuselage. No wind tunnel magic, no elegant aerodynamic trick. Just bend the helicopter so the rotors miss each other. Problem solved. Now, here's the part that sounds made up, but absolutely isn't. The HRP-1's fuselage was mild steel tubing, wooden ribs, and doped fabric. And in flight, that fabric had a nasty habit of tearing loose. Sometimes it would wrap itself around the rotor blades, which I imagine is a great way to ruin a pilot's entire day. So crews did what any reasonable aviation pioneer would do. They ripped the skin off completely and flew the helicopter naked. Lighter, safer, still terrifying. And, if that wasn't enough, early gearboxes used automotive transmission gears, which stripped under helicopter loads because, of course they did. This thing was chaos with lift. Despite all of that, the HRP-1 did things no helicopter had ever done before. The first amphibious rescue. On New Year's Eve, 1948, the Coast Guard used an HRP-1 to fly a 14-month-old girl with pneumonia from Cape Hatteras to a hospital, a mission no boat or airplane could have completed in time. Vertical envelopment. The Marine Corps used HRPs to land 66 Marines directly from ships to shore, inventing a tactic that still defines amphibious warfare today. The Erickson basket. Commander Frank Erickson tested a stainless steel rescue basket that could scoop up unconscious survivors from the ocean, a device still used, in evolved form, today. This flying banana wasn't just weird, it was useful. The HRP-1 evolved into the HRP-2, ditching fabric for metal, and then into the H-21 Shawnee, a larger, more powerful flying banana that saw extensive service in the early days of Vietnam. And just as Piasecki's designs were proving their worth, he was forced out of his own company. In 1955, after a battle with financiers, Frank Piasecki was barred from his own engineering department. His company was renamed Vertol, short for vertical takeoff and landing. They kept his ideas. They just didn't keep him. Vertol added turbine engines and created the CH-47 Chinook, and then went bigger, much bigger. After Boeing purchased VTOL in 1960, the final evolution emerged, CH-47 Chinook. The Chinook kept the HRP-1's greatest strengths, overlapping tandem rotors, no tail rotor, massive center of gravity range, incredible lifting power. It could haul vehicles, artillery, helicopters, even other aircraft. And yes, a smaller cousin, the HUP Retriever, accidentally performed the first helicopter loop in history and became the first aircraft to land on the nuclear submarine USS Nautilus. Frank Piasecki never stopped dreaming. He once said, "The future is bright. It's yours. Be there." The Chinook is still flying today, more than 60 years later, because a fabric-covered banana proved that tandem rotors weren't just possible, they were unstoppable. If you ever want to see the last surviving HRP-1 on public display, it's at the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum, restored over 7 painstaking years. And if you ever stumble across one in a salvage yard, well, that's exactly where the volunteers at Classic Rotors found theirs. Have at it. And that wraps up another tale from aviation's stranger side. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies.